Hello everybody, this is Nemodius. I'm the leader of the Kingdom Ashes of Creation in the game Puzzle Quest 3. Today I want to take the time to make a video about a kingdom defense build that I'm working on, and I really think that it's awesome. And I say that because I've tried a lot of different stuff. I've tried building shamans to do kingdom defense. That didn't work very well at all because shamans rely on a lot of debuffs to be powerful, and dragons don't take debuffs for the most part. So that failed. I tried necromancer, and while the necromancer build can be super powerful, I feel like that at higher levels it kind of falls out because it doesn't have the survivability to survive some of the powerful shots that the dragon does, and it just one-shots you. So I'm kind of worried about that build in the long term at the higher level dragons. So I abandoned that as well. Now I've landed on Merc, and let me preface this by saying, yes, I understand that some of my gear is mythic level, and you may not be able to achieve these kind of results starting out, but I think if you'll just stick with it, you can get there. Today, let me just show you what happened. Today, I did this build for the first time. This is the first time I've ever played this build in an actual kingdom defense setting. And I was able to do, on a tier 14 dragon, which is where we're at right now, I was able to do 1,752,745 damage in one turn. Okay, and I survived about 13 or 14 turns through, turns, I guess you could say, through that battle. And you can see down here that I've still got 2 turns left. So that was my first turn. I survived about 13 or 14 rounds. And then at the end, I finally made a mistake with this build because I'm a noob. I'm still learning how to play it. And I left the dragon too much mana, and he was able to match it all and then use Spirit Breath to kill me. Had I not made that mistake, which I'll explain here in a little bit, there's no telling. I probably could have lasted another 10, 15 turns, and that may have been 3 or 4 million damage by the time I was done. Because one of the cool things about this build is it increases your crit chance to hit and your crit damage when you do hit. And it just keeps going up. And you're also dropping the enemy dragon's power with one of your spells as well. So you're allowing yourself to survive better because he does less damage per hit, but you're also making yourself do more damage per hit, and you're generating skulls the whole time, and it's just really super fun. Like I said, I've never done this much damage in one turn. Now, I've done more damage than this in a whole battle, but that was 3 turns, and it was a very lucky one where I was getting lots of crits. This build does nothing but crit once you get it going, and it can just get insane. Now, this could have been a lot higher, but my gear is not really totally optimized yet because I had to add in like 3 different pieces that I'd never used before, so I need to level those up to legendary. And then there are 3 of the 4 spells in this build that I had never used before that I'm going to have to level up to legendary, and I'm just basically waiting on the shop to offer me the things I need so that I can do it with the glyphs and the scrolls and all that. So I'm not even really optimized yet. So let's go ahead and let's look at the gear itself so that you can see what it is. Now, one of the reasons why I decided to go with this build was because it synergized really well for me, because 90% of this stuff that I'm wearing now was part of my shaman monocolor green PvE build. My shaman build is just freaking amazing. I can destroy anything in this game on a PvE mindset with debuffs and stuns and, savage juju and all that. I mean, I'm just, on that shaman build, I'm unstoppable. And a lot of this gear, like the gloves, the body, the helm, the sword, the shield, the rings, the boots, and one of the spells, that one, are spells I already had. So I had them leveled up to legendary already. So that kick-started this build really nicely for me. I know that you won't be able to start this off like this, for the most part, unless you already have a lot of this gear leveled up. So I understand that, you may be saying, well, Nemodius, of course you're doing good because you got legendary gear on a lot of this. Yes, I get that. And I actually have some gear score that will allow me to survive some of the dragon hits. But I wanted to, before I fully level this thing up, like I added in the fallen shoulder guards. I've never used these before, but this is a good one to have in this build. So I put those in there. I'm going to level those up to legendary. I added in the Savior Locket because this healing boost and the Savior 2-piece bonus that I get now are really good in this build. I've never had this item on before, so I'm going to level it up to legendary, and I'm also going to change it to green, which is going to add to my synergy and my mastery. And then this belt, the Asgard Bandolier, never been a fan of this, never really used it. I just leveled it up for a PvP build basically. But this works really well in this build because it generates skulls. So I'm definitely going to level this up to legendary as well and change it to green also. And then I'm going to be set on gear. I mean, I'm just going to be working towards trying to get the rest of this stuff to mythic. And probably the gloves are going to be one of the things that I try to level up first if I can, because it's going to add to my crit chance, which honestly is not really necessary. It's one of the best items in the game, don't get me wrong, but this build increases crit percent hit chance so fast that this may not even be my top level up priority. I may go for boots instead so that I can get more speed, which is more action points, which, as you know now, in the action point mode is super awesome to have more turns per turn. So this is where I'm at with gear. Let's just go through and look at them real quick in case you don't recognize them by the picture. The first one is the Fallen Shoulder Guards. The second one is the Savior Helm. Royal Sword. Guard Shield. Savior's Locket. I have a Lucky Ring, which works awesome with this build. I think this is one of the best items in the game because I love green. I always seem to gravitate to green for some reason. I don't know why. But this has been clutch for me. Royal Ring. Asgard Bandolier. Royal Boots. Serpentine Pants. Guard Gloves. And Royal Armor. Now what you end up with, as far as your set bonuses, you end up with the 4-piece Royal set bonus, which allows you to convert mana gems to bigger gems, which is awesome. One of the best set bonuses in the game in my opinion, because it's all about matching gems to get mana if you're relying on spells, which pretty much most people need to, because they either have to use spells to do damage or use spells to generate skulls to do damage. So, I mean, you need that. The next one is the Guard set. You get the 2-piece bonus on the Guard set, which increases your block chance for each big gem on the board. This build makes a lot of big gems and you do a lot of matching, so this is always happening. It's an awesome one. And then with the Locket and the Helm, which this is one I've never used before, but this build I'm going to take advantage of it. 2-piece Savior bonus, 14% starting resistance at my epic level. As you see, as it goes up to legendary, it'll be 17%. So, along with the extra healing, the mana generation with the Helm, that's a really good one too. So those are the set bonuses you end up with. So that's the gear and the idea behind the gear and the set bonuses. As I talked about, as soon as the shop offers me the glyphs I need, which is armor and of course always legendary relics, and I'm going to level this stuff up and then change its color to where the synergy all matches. Luckily most of this was already green because, like I said, I'm a green monocolor shaman for my main, and that's what I spend most of my time playing, so all that was already set up for me. Why green, you say? Well, this spell selection is all green, so that's why. I mean, you synergize so well with the all green spell selection and all green gear that you're just crazy to not try to do that. Yes, I understand that some people don't have the gems to transfer a lot of this stuff to green. I choose to pay for it. You may not. This is a build that is totally can be free to play as well. I have a couple friends that use this build. Some of you may know a guy named Bratzi on the forums. He uses this and he's mainly free to play. So right now he has a lot of his gear different colors and not really all green because he hasn't had the opportunity to roll those into green yet, but the build still works for him just fine, and he does way more damage than I do because he knows how to play it better than I do, and he's the one that basically taught me about it. So I mean, he knows what he's talking about. Yeah, so this is a build that can be done free to play, and it can be done with a mix and match of gear, so it's not really critical to have it all green. Ideally, your goal should be to get yourself there if you are serious about playing this game, because you're just going to do so much better. Okay, let's shut up about gear now and let's talk about spells. So the spell selection was good for me because I had one that was already at legendary, because this is one of my main mana generators in my shaman build. You can see that I create 7 green gems. 95% chance to poison the enemy doesn't really help me on the dragon because dragons don't take debuffs, but you know, oh well. I'm doing so many crits that I don't care about debuffs anymore. It's not about debuffs on this build. It's about crits. So yeah, as long as I make gems, I'm good. So that spell's awesome. And remember, when you're looking at how to order your spells, you may change this up to fit your own preference, but the order in which you put them in, especially when they match color, will affect the mana fill rate that you get on these spells. So like, let's see, where can I look at that? I think it's right here. If you look at, dang it, I don't know where to look at that at. I think it's in a battle that I have to bring it up. Yeah, that's what it is. In a battle, bring up your settings on your character in the battle, and you'll actually see your spells and the fill rate that they get. Now, the fill rate that they get is based on, are they synergizing with color? Because they get a bonus to fill rate if you are synergizing 2 or more of the same color. And then they also it does matter the order in which you place them in. This is what's considered spell slot 4 over on the left. It gets the most mana first. Then we go to spell slot 2, it gets more than spell slot 3. Then we go to spell slot 3, it gets more than spell slot 4. Spell slot 4 gets the least amount of mana fill rate per turn. So it goes in order of graduation of more to less. So keep that in mind when you're positioning your spells. If you have certain spells that you want to be able to have full all the time and get to use more often than not, put them over here on the first hand side. Like for me, it's important to have mana generation so that I can keep everything else running. And I like to have this one near the front as well, because I always want to make sure I am upping my critical hit chance and upping my critical hit damage bonus, because that's where I'm doing my big damage. So I always want to make sure that I'm popping this one off as soon as possible. So from the way I've been taught from people that use this build, one of the best ways to play it are use 2, 3, 4 to generate skulls, increase your critical hit chance, increase your critical hit damage. Also, this one right here has the nice benefit of decreasing the enemy's power, so that makes the dragon weaker, hit you weaker, so that you can survive longer. So that's nice. This one creates skull gems if greed is active, which is your ultimate spell. So that's easy to do. Yeah, this one does poison, but like I said, you don't do poison to dragons, so that doesn't really work. This one increases your critical hit chance and critical hit damage bonus, which is the awesomest thing ever for this build, so that's what you need it for. It also says it drains the enemy's mana, but I haven't seen that happens on dragons, so I'm not sure if that's a thing or not. If somebody knows for sure, let me know in the comments, but I haven't seen it. So you're wanting to do 2, 3, 4. You're wanting to increase your critical hit chance, do damage, decrease power, create skulls, do damage, and then, you know, if you can, you hit your ultimate to create your treasure gems and get your greed stacks of greed going, and then you use this one to keep everything full and generate more skulls or more mana gems, so that you can cast spells to generate more skulls. And then you're just trying to match skulls. You're trying to get your mana off the board. You're trying to keep the enemy from matching their mana. So if they have a bunch of their own mana in a row, take it from them so that they don't get it. Because that's the big deal about this build, is keeping the enemy down to where they can't match their mana, but yet you pop off your spells, increase your critical hit chance, and you bang them over the head with huge crits. So I think this build is totally viable. Another consideration you may have to make is if you do not have a Merc that's level 50, you may want to go ahead and get started on that as well, because throughout the process of leveling your mercenary, you're going to need to open chests to get those specific mercenary only spells. Like this one is mercenary only, so this is one you're going to have to find out of chests. And yes, it does matter if you open those chests with the mercenary. The higher percentage of the drop rate is had when you do that with the character that you're actually trying to find the spell for. So remember that. That's important. So this is one you're going to have to find as a mercenary. That one's not. I think this one is. Yes, this one is also a mercenary only spell. So this is one you're going to have to search for. It took me a minute to get this one, actually. So yeah, I had to farm for this for like 2 days. I think it took me to get this one. And I opened like 60 or 70 chests with the mercenary to get that one, and then I finally got it. And then Tangled Skulls, I can't remember where you get this one, but yeah, I mean, this is just a normal drop, but it probably, I don't think it would help the percentage chance drop to do it with the Merc, because it's not a Merc only spell, but, you know, who knows? I don't know. This one is just a normal green spell. Get it anywhere with any character. You probably already got this one, because this is one of the, seems like the more common drops of the spells, is the channel spells, because everybody needs the channel spells for their particular gem mastery that they're looking to do. So yeah, so those are the things you may want to keep in consideration when you're trying to build this build. Like I said, yes, I get it. You know, my gear score is not that awesome for this build, honestly. It could be a lot better, and it will be a lot better when I level these items and level my spells. But I wanted to show you that even at this level, at 2500, it's very viable. You will get higher, and there are lots of people that are higher than me, and they do amazing. You know, I've seen reports of 5 to 10 million damage per turn on a level 20 dragon. I mean, that's insane. If you remember, we're not to the top level of the dragon in my kingdom yet, so, you know, your results may vary. Mine's a level 14, but if you know anything about the stats of the dragons, they kind of top out around 15, 16, to where from there till 20, they're about the same power, just more hit points type of thing. They have about I think they cap out at like a 10,000 gear score, and then they just kind of get more hit points for the last few levels up till 20. So as long as this build remains viable to where I can survive as the dragon keeps going up, which I know it will be because I hear reports from a lot of people that are already doing it, I'll be able to make this work long term. Plus the fact that I'm going to level it up pretty good here in a little bit. As soon as the stinking shop gives me the glyphs and the scrolls and the runes and the that I need to level it up, it's going to be really fun. Because this first turn I took and did that damage when I didn't even really know how to play it. Honestly, I'm just going to admit it. This was my first time with the dragon today, and I did 1.7 million damage in one turn. I'm a noob, you know. I just my first time, and to have results like that is crazy. I actually made a mistake, like I was saying, in the process of fighting it, and I'll just kind of show you what I did so you can think about that as well. I was fighting the dragon, and I had one turn left on my action point setup, and then I cast this right here, Channel Poison. Well, what that did was that put a bunch of green mana on the board, and then I ran out of turns and couldn't fill it. And I left it for him for the next turn. And then what's the dragon do? I was fighting a green dragon, which relies on green mana. So the next turn he jumps on there and matches like 15 green gems in a row because of all the mana I left on the table. And boom, that automatically filled up Spirit Breath, and the next turn I was dead. Had I not done that, had I just saved this till the next turn when I had 8-9 action points and then cast it, I could have matched it all and got it off the board before he had a chance, and who knows, I might have survived another 10-15 turns, and that number that I put up would have been, who knows, 4 or 5 million damage, because my crit chance and my crit damage are going up every turn basically by casting this. So yeah, that was a silly mistake I made because I didn't know how to play the build, but I'm learning. And you know, I was told, I think Bratzi got this build from a guy named Rob. You may recognize him from the game. He talks a lot on the global chat as well. He came, I don't know if he was the original creator of this build or not, but he's the one that passed it on to Bratzi, which is then who I got it from. So, you know, they know what they're doing, and they do huge numbers. So this is a totally awesome build. So I think what let's do now is I'm going to take a big chance here, and I may make myself look like an idiot, I don't know, but I'm going to go ahead and take you through one battle with this and kind of show you how I think it's supposed to be played. I'm not even really sure, so I may be doing this wrong, and if you see things that I do that I should do differently, please tell me in the chat, because yeah, I've got to learn it. Keep in mind, this is only my second attempt at playing this build, so I really don't know what I'm doing, but I'm still able to get big numbers. So as long as I don't do something stupid here and get one shot, then you'll be able to see the power of this build. Okay, so for a starting board, I was hoping that I would get a better starting board to start off with so that I could, you know, assure that I was going to be able to show you something cool about this, but not such a good starting board, but I'm going to try my best to make it work anyway. It looks like I'm going to end up leaving some green on the board, and I hope that don't bite me in the butt, but I'm going to go ahead and take these skulls because I can at least do that. Gosh, what can I do? Okay, I can at least get this green. And then I think that's going to be it for me. And I'm going to leave the rest on the table. I hate that because he's probably going to jump on here and match a ton more. But, oh well, I'm going to try. Okay, it took almost all my armor that shot What's this? Oh, I got haste from Resh. That's really cool. Oh, that's super cool. Because what that's going to do is that's going to give me 50% more mana from matches. So that's going to allow me to fill my spells way better. Well, I've only got one more turn of it, so. But anyway. So unfortunately, first turn, I took a huge hit to my armor, which is hopefully okay because my fallen shoulder guards are going to help me replenish that. But I was only able to fill one spell. So, you know, like I was telling you, this last debuff on this spell where it says drain the enemy's mana, I have not seen that work yet. So I don't know if it does, but let's go ahead and pop it off and see what it does. So we're going to look at our totals over here, 36, 18, 18. We'll see if it drops it. And it did not. So I don't know if that's just a random roll type thing and it does work, or if it just does not work because it's a debuff type situation that doesn't apply to the enemy. But it's weird though, because this one does. It decreases the enemy's power. I've seen that help. So I don't know why this one wouldn't and this does, but whatever. Okay, so now I have 5 action points. Don't really have a lot of green. Man, can I even get any green? I don't know. Let me look. Move that there. That's only going to be 2. Man, I don't even see how I can match any green, and I don't have any spells charged up to use. So this is probably going to be a really difficult training example for me to give you guys a good idea what this build can do, and I hope I don't make myself end up looking like an idiot, but oh well. I know it works because I just did it, but I'm gonna try to salvage this and see what happens. Probably could have got that match if I would have just moved this green down before I locked those skulls in place. Dang it, I didn't see that. Man, I just don't see anything that I can do. And I'm not really a big fan of using the action points in a turn matching a lot of other stuff and trying to get some green to drop into the board anymore like I used to be. I would match everything so that when I was in a situation like this, I would match everything I could match so that I would have a higher percentage of more green dropping in the next turn for me. Not a good idea anymore. Because like now, this is an enemy that uses green mana. So basically I would be setting him up for more green, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to get all the skulls I can get and just end the turn. Okay, luckily he didn't get a lot of green mana matches. He did some damage to me, but then my fallen shoulder guards gave it right back to me. So I kind of stayed about the same with armor, even though I took a hit. This time I'm going to be able to get a little green right there. I could cast some spells if I had them filled, but I don't, so we're just going to have to suffer through and wait for that to happen. Dang it, he's going to end up getting this, and I'm not going to be able to do anything about it. And that's about all I can do again. Man, this is not going good, but we'll get there, hopefully. Okay, good. He didn't get any mana that turn, and I got some spells filled up finally. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pop this one off because it really doesn't do a whole lot for anything about the board. So it doesn't matter really when I do this. The Wither debuff doesn't inflict on dragons, so that's not a thing, but it'll do some damage, and it gives me a chance to decrease their power. So let's watch right here, and if we see power down, we'll see that the power actually goes down on the dragon. Okay, so it resisted the debuff, but it did not say power down, so in that situation the 50% didn't click for us, so he didn't get a debuff on power. So that was bad luck, but hey, it is what it is. But now I have 5 AP left, and I'm going to go ahead and cast this so I can hopefully get some green gems to match some of this out. And hopefully I don't end up getting green over here spread out to where I can't match it, and then I end up having to give it all to him, because that could be death. So one thing I do want to, I've noticed that I want to look at before I cast this spell is I'm going to look at some of my skull placement, because there may be situations to where I want to lock some skull matches in before I cast this, because like say if I had a 5 match of skulls here or something, I wouldn't want to take the chance of casting this and then some of them turning to green and messing up that match. So I would, if I had a good one, I would lock it in first before I did it, but I don't, and I still have quite a few turns left to try to clean up the mana I'm going to generate, so I'm going to go ahead and pop it off. Okay, you see what happened right there. Those skulls up top all turned to green. So if that would have been a good match for me, then I would have needed to lock it in first before I did that so that I didn't lose it. Because there's plenty of other places green could have popped up, and I, can definitely keep my skull matches because that's where I'm getting my critical hit bonus. Wow, my health is really low, so hopefully I won't die before I can get some of this taken care of. So I have 5 AP. I'm going to take that skull match. I'm going to take this. Or am I? Take this. Be smarter maybe. I think I'm going to go ahead and take this one. And then I'll put this one in there. Put this one in there. Put this one up here, and that's going to end my turn, and that's going to leave him 3 pieces of mana on the board, 4 pieces of mana on the board. They're kind of spread out, so hopefully he won't be able to match them, and hopefully he won't be able to match a bunch of skulls and put me out, because I've not got much health at all. Oh, please don't kill me. Okay, whew. I survived it. Alright, so now I'm starting to actually get going, and I'm starting to get some options. Now, if I would have had a better board start, I would have been rolling by now, but I'm slow on this. I want to get my stacks of greed going because it powers the damage on, or it actually allows me to create more skulls with this spell, so greed is really important to have on. And to get greed, you have to pop these gems off right here. So I'm going to go ahead and take this one. And that gave me 1 stack of greed. I'm going to go ahead and take this one so I can get more stacks of greed. And sometimes you may want to lock in some matches before you pop off a stack in case it's going to mess you up or something. I'm not really sure how that works, but... And something else I've also noticed, that even though these spells are still filling because the greed mechanic is waiting on you to make a match before it finalizes this fill, if you'll notice, these are lit up because they're already filled up. And you can go ahead and click these and cast them even though they're in a state of filling. I didn't realize that until I tried it last battle, and I was like, oh wow, you can do those while they're actually filling. I've never been able to do that before on any other build that I'm aware of. But like I'll show you on this one, I'm clicking it and nothing's happening. But on this one, boom, I'm able to cast it even though it's filling. So I've increased my critical hit chance. So now when I match some of these skulls and this turn goes off, hopefully I'll get a crit. Let's see where our crit percentage is at right now at this stage in the battle. At this stage in the battle, my critical hit chance is up to 30%, and my critical hit damage is up to 380%. That's up quite a bit from where I started, because I think I start with like 5 or 10% of crit hit chance. So something, by casting this spell, it's going up. So now what I want to do is, I want to think about things here. I've got 7 turns. I've got the ability to generate more green gems, and that's the only spell I can cast again. I've got 1 more stack of greed that I could pop off. I'm just going to go ahead and do it just so I can see what it does, because I'm not really sure when I need to use this and when I don't. That will come with the experience, but I'm just going to go ahead and try it. Okay, so that gave me some more mana filling, and it collapsed some things, and it can make a mess or it can help. It's just kind of up in the air with that one. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look to clear off all this mana I can, or I'm going to lock this skull in first. I think is the smartest thing to do. And I'm going to go ahead and lock this one in so that I can make sure and capitalize on that big 3 gem there. And I may go ahead and put this skull in place and go ahead and take this match And I think I'm going to leave 3 turns to try to clean up some of this mana, and I'm going to go ahead and generate some more mana. So now I have 3 turns to try to clean up all the mana I made before he gets his hands on it. Looks like I'm going to leave this big one because I really have no way to get it over here. But I can match this one, and I can match this one. And then I have the choice of either making a mana match or making a skull match. But I don't want to leave any mana on the board, if at all possible. That's top priority. Yes, I know doing damage with crits is awesome, but if this is an enemy that uses this mana, I need to try my best not to let him get Spirit Breath filled up, because as you see, Spirit Breath kills the hero, so that's not good. We can make crits all day long, but if we're dead, we can't make crits. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this one. I'm going to fill this one. And I'm going to fill this one, and that's going to end my turn. That's going to leave him 2 pieces of mana on the board, and it's going to give me a chance to have a big old crit. So let's, fingers crossed, let's hope we get a big old crit on this one, because this is where you're going to see the payoff on this build right here. So come on, crit. Oh, I didn't get one, and that would have been a big crit too. Oh, dadgummit. That would have been like a 200,000 or 300,000 damage crit. So, okay, that was a training exercise. Didn't work so hot because the starting mana board did not give me hardly any mana to match at all to get my spells going. It took like almost 3 to 4 turns to actually get somewhere with filling up my spells and stuff. So that's one of the bad things about a Kingdom Defense build. I'm not even going to really say it's a bad thing about this build, because that is going to hurt any build, not just this one. If you have a bad starting board and you don't get any mana to get your spells going, can't generate skulls, can't, do your things that you do, then that's going to affect anything you do. So I'm not going to really fault this build for that. I'm just going to fault the roll of the dice for the the starting board setup. This right here, not so great. But when I level up my gear, when I level up my spells, I'm going to survive that. When I level up my gear, I'm going to survive that little, hit that I just took. My fallen shoulder guards are going to be legendary, and they're going to be giving me way more armor per battle or per hit. And I'm going to push through that. So even though that was a bad turn, I know that this build is better than that. So I don't want you to get discouraged by seeing that. I hate for this video to go too long, so I'm not going to do one more turn. I think you get the idea by seeing it the first time around what you need to do, because frankly, if I get a good starting board, a turn for me could last 15 or 20 minutes. And I really don't want this video to become an hour long. I think I've already put way too much into it already, to the point that people are going to click out about 10 minutes out because they can't stand to sit through the whole thing and listen to me for that long. But I really, I'm not even going to do the last hit, honestly, because I want to leave some health on this dragon for the rest of my kingdom, because we've got some people that are going to come in here and want to do 3-4 million damage, and they're not going to get a turn if I take another one, because if I take another one and get a good board start, I might take 50% of this health off this dragon in one turn, based on what I've seen so far. So I'm just going to say that I really think the Merc with this build is the crap. I mean, I've not seen anything that does any better than this so far, and I'm totally convinced that with leveled up gear, I'm going to have the survivability I need to be able to push through all those hits that I took. And I did pretty good for a little while, because even with a bad board start, I took like 4 or 5 really solid hits before it finally knocked me out. On the Necromancer build, I was getting killed turn 2 with hard hits because I just couldn't tank it. And this one will get better as I level it up. Plus my spells will get way better, because right now I'm not even to epic with these spells, and not to legendary for sure. So when they're all legendary, yeah, I'm gonna be sitting pretty. So anyway, that's the Merc build. I really don't know what to call it yet. I think I'm going to call it the Crit Master, because the last turn that I had, the first turn that I took, I think I had like 7 crits. And yeah, so I'm going to call this the Crit Master, the Merc Crit Master. So anyway, thanks for watching this video with me. I appreciate you spending your time with me. I hope this helps you. And please, by all means, like I told you, I'm a total noob with this build. I've only done it 2 turns now. First turn was great, second turn not so much. And I'm learning. So if you see anything that I did wrong, or if you can give me any tips, please put those in the comments, because I want to get to the place that I know the exact best move every single turn. And I'm only going to know that if you teach me. So through experience and through your comments, I would like to get better at playing this build, and I'd appreciate it if you'd help me. If this content was cool to you, then please, by all means, subscribe, like this video, so that we can push it out to more people, help the algorithm push it out to more puzzle questers, so that they can find my content and hopefully like it, contribute into the conversation, and we'll all get better by helping each other. Anyway, thanks for your time. I'll see you later.